You're listening to The Topcast, the original podcast for growth-minded instrumental music and voice teachers since 2015, with your host, Tim Topham. Our mission at Top Music is to empower instrumental music and voice teachers to find and nurture their innate creativity so that they can teach lessons that are innovative, integrated, and inspiring, and that will have a positive, lifelong impact on their students. Join us each week as we interview teachers and creators from around the world and unpack fun and exciting ideas to maximize your teaching and studio business success. Hello and welcome back to the Topcast. I'm your host, Tim Topham, and it's great to be spending a little bit of time with you today. I hope you are well wherever you are and whatever you are up to at the moment. Hope the year has started well for you too. Have you ever felt a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to your studio website? Perhaps you've got an older site that you're just not sure what to do with or how to fix. Or perhaps you don't have a website at all and the thought of actually building one, creating one, maintaining one without breaking it is a bit of a terrifying prospect. If that's you, I totally understand, and it's absolutely a normal feeling for most music teachers actually, because we're never really trained in this side of running our studio. But having a studio website, as you'll hear today, is really critical. And it's far more than just an online business card, which is how websites were thought of, I think, probably 15, 20 years ago. Now they're all about converting visitors into paying students, and the better your website, the more chance you have of that happening. So if you do want to increase your studio numbers and you'd like to do that fairly simply without having to do lots and lots of outreach by letting people come to you and convert on your website and contact you that way, then today's episode is going to be really, really helpful, because I want to take away that stress and pain that so many of you feel when it comes to building your website, because there are lots of simple ideas out there. And today's guest is going to share exactly what he is doing to help music teachers in this area. My guest, Demitris Maddox, began his journey in 2016, helping his girlfriend build her thriving piano studio. Drawing from years as the chief marketing officer of that studio, where he also provided website services for other music studios along the way, Demitris is now the founder of Provide Impact, where he helps private music studios attract more students through his impact method, which focuses on optimized websites and online marketing. While he's not in the kitchen experimenting to find the perfect chocolate chip cookie recipe, he's on a mission to help private music studios elevate their online presence to attract more students and grow their business. He's put together a free quiz for music teachers who want to know how ready they are for a professional music teaching website, and you can check that out and lots more at his website, which we'll put all the links for today's show into our show notes. That's at topmusic.co/episode 408. But in the meantime, let's meet our guest. Welcome to the show, Demitris. Welcome to the show, Demitris. Great to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim. I'm really excited to be here and chat about something that I'm super passionate about, which is helping music teachers thrive online.
It's going to be great to chat about it. So we are talking about marketing and specifically finding students online through websites. And I know websites can be a point of challenge for lots of music teachers. So we're going to hopefully solve some of those questions today. But before I start, am I right in thinking that you're a musician as well as a developer of these websites and helping teachers with marketing?
Absolutely. I'm a drummer, and music has been transformative in my life. I started playing the drums when I was in 6th grade, when my mother actually noticed that I had way too many study halls and put me in band instead. And initially, I felt like a big imposter since the other kids had been playing for years. But drumming eventually became my passion. I went on to play through high school and later in drum corps, which taught me incredible discipline and work ethic. And those experiences sort of really shaped who I am today. I also taught high school drumline for several years, which gave me the firsthand experience with the joys and challenges of music education.
I can't believe the drumline videos that I see pop up on my feed sometimes in America. So you guys, it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, you come on the field before a big game of football and do these amazing, everyone's like walking through lines and patterns and they're all playing instruments. Is this quite common in America?
I mean, I think it might be as common as, music is. It's something that really develops and starts in the schools. So, a kid might join marching band in high school and then, they'll do that. And that's sort of competitive where, you might be facing different people locally. But then there's drum corps, which is, I guess you can consider it like professional marching band in a sense, where they have different regional groups that sort of travel the country and compete. And it gets very competitive. And yeah, it's not that. So when you're in high school, the band will usually perform at halftime. So they will be the halftime show, and they have their own independent competitions. And in drum corps, it's like 10 to 15 to sometimes even more drum corps competing against each other. And they're being sort of judged in music. They're being judged in the visual package. Then they have the color guards who spin the flags. They're being judged on that. So it's kind of like they are judged by different criteria. And so that's kind of where I really found my discipline, because as this mantra that I heard from my instructor is everything matters all the time. And he said that to say, like your marching matters, the tempo matters, the dynamics matter, how you look matter. So everything matters all the time is kind of something that I carry throughout my life.
I like it. It's a great mantra to have. And I'm just astounded by the precision of these groups that I've seen on TikTok and Instagram. I think it's incredible. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. Let's get back to today's sort of focus. Thanks for sharing that, though. I'm often interested in how different our cultures seem so similar in so many ways, but there are quite stark differences as well. So let's jump in with a fundamental question for today's independent teachers. How important do you think is having a modern, effective, mobile responsive website today?
It's absolutely essential today. A professional website isn't just a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. When parents are looking for music teachers, they're going to search online first. And if your website isn't mobile responsive, you're immediately losing about 70% of potential visitors who are browsing on their phones. And a truly effective website serves as your 24/7 representative, working with you even when you're teaching, even while you're sleeping. It should clearly communicate your value and make it incredibly easy for potential students to take the next step. I've seen studios completely transform when they switch from an outdated website to one that's designed to convert visitors into students. It's about creating a path that guides potential students from that first visit to becoming a long-term student in your studio.
In your experience, what are some of the biggest challenges that music teachers face when it comes to attracting students online?
That's a great question. And I would say the biggest challenge that I see consistently is that music teachers struggle to communicate their unique value online. Many teachers have incredible credentials and teaching abilities, but their website simply doesn't reflect that expertise. It's sort of like watching a virtuoso performer playing on a broken instrument. The talent's there, but it's not coming through. Specifically, I see three main challenges. First, most music teachers' websites focus too heavily on credentials rather than outcomes. They list degrees and years of experience, but say very little about the transformation students experience. Parents aren't shopping for qualifications. They want to see results. Second, website clarity is a widespread problem. Teachers either provide too little information, leaving potential students with questions, or they overload their site with unorganized details, making it hard to navigate. And finally, most websites lack effective conversion elements. They might look nice, but without clear calls to action, testimonials, or user journeys, visitors don't become students.
That I could not have summarized that better myself. That is just so important. And I liked your quote, parents are shopping for results. They don't want to see, yes, have an about section somewhere so people can find out about you, but don't put that front and center. They don't really care about all your degrees or lack of degrees, really. What's in it for them? What's in it for me? That's such an important mantra to have. So yeah, thank you for reminding us of those three key factors. So with these kind of challenges, how does that tend to impact teachers, their teaching and their creativity?
These challenges that I kind of spoke about before, they create a direct ripple effect on teaching quality and creativity. When teachers struggle with an ineffective online presence, they find themselves in a scarcity mindset, and they're going to be ending up taking on any student who inquires, regardless if it's a good fit for them or not, or they're going to even overload their schedule just to make ends meet. This consistent worry consumes mental bandwidth that should be going into lesson planning or their own musical development. I've honestly had teachers literally tell me that they lie awake at night calculating how many more students they need just to stay afloat. And the most frustrating part is that these teachers are incredibly talented teachers who aren't being seen online. When their expertise isn't properly valued, they often try to overcompensate during lessons, proving their credentials. instead of focusing on the student's musical journey.
Yeah. Again, just coming back to the student, what's going on for the student? We talk a lot in Top Music in our training about the educational journey for students and how important it is for their vision for themselves to be matched to your vision for them and your studio, etc. Like there's lots of moving parts here, but I think you're right in just keeping that focus on the student and their path via the parents, of course. So how can a strong website help teachers reclaim some of this headspace and focus allow them to focus on what they love more?
Yeah. So what's fascinating is how a strong website can flip the situation through what I call the confidence effect. When teachers know that their online presence is effectively attracting students, that background anxiety about filling lesson slots simply vanish. The mental freedom that comes when you get leads consistently creates space for that creative thinking that makes teaching special. A well-designed website also handles those recurring questions about pricing and scheduling, and those are things that eat up a lot of mental bandwidth. Ultimately, a solid website becomes a boundary that protects what matters most, which is the joy of sharing music with students and watching them grow. It's about reclaiming the passion that brought them to teaching in the first place.
So what inspired you to start helping music teachers with their websites? Was there a specific moment or an experience that made you realize, teachers need this help?
For sure. So a little bit of backstory, right? I started helping my girlfriend build her piano studio from the ground up back in 2015. I wanted to help her any way that I could. So I decided to take over the website and the marketing, which would allow her then to focus on teaching. And over the years, I would hop into different Facebook groups and share what I've been learning to help teachers along the way. So I saw firsthand that they were frustrated with complicated website builders, and they were struggling to try to adapt templates that weren't made for them. They might have been made for, let's say, a restaurant or maybe even a lawyer. And I saw this pattern repeatedly. And then I realized that I could amplify a teacher's impact by solving their specific website challenges. As a drummer whose life has been changed by the power of music education, I wanted to give back to the community. That helped me. And seeing teachers struggle with the same issues over and over again made me realize that there was a huge need for website solutions specifically designed for music teachers.
And we're going to unpack a solution that you've been working on in just a moment. But having been a musician and helping your girlfriend with her studio, how have your experiences shaped the way that you're able to approach website design for music teachers?
My own journey as a musician profoundly shaped how I approach web design for music teachers. Playing drums completely changed my life. It gave me friendships, travel opportunities, and taught me the transformative power of music education. When I was teaching high school drum lines, I witnessed firsthand how much teaching goes into being an effective teacher and the incredible impact that a good teacher can have. But the most impactful experience was definitely helping my girlfriend build her piano studio. For 9 years, I've been immersed in every single aspect of growing a successful music teaching business. From attracting those first few students, to managing a full studio, to seeing all the day-to-day challenges firsthand, scheduling logistics, parent communications, setting rates, handling cancellations, all of those, practical realities that generic website designers simply don't understand. These lived experiences have allowed me to create solutions that address the real challenges that music teachers face, not just what I think they might need from the outside looking in.
Yeah, because there are amazing packages out there for building websites now. But what you're saying is none of them are designed for music teachers and the special needs that they have. And I think you're absolutely right there, which means that teachers are spending lots of time mucking around with these templates to try and make them fit. Square peg, round hole, etc. So let's go to specifics. What is the main goal of a studio website in your opinion?
The main goal of a studio website is to turn visitors into students. It's that simple. While many teachers think about their websites as just a digital business card or maybe an information hub, an effective website should be actively working for you 24/7. When designed correctly, your website becomes the hardest working member of your studio, consistently bringing you in qualified leads who are already aligned with your teaching philosophy before they even meet you.
And I've heard you use the phrase turning strangers into students. Well, what do you mean by that? And how does the well-designed website actually contribute to that process?
So when I'm talking about, turning strangers into students, I'm describing the transformation of someone who's never heard of you into someone who's excited to take lessons with you specifically. A well-designed website is the engine that drives that transformation. First, it works by answering questions that visitors have, but they may never really ask you, such as, is this teacher trustworthy? Will my child enjoy lessons here? Or is this worth the investment? Second, elements like headlines, testimonials, and images work together to create connections that help show the transformation that students will experience. Finally, and most importantly, a conversion-focused website creates a clear, obvious next step. This entire process happens automatically, 24/7, essentially automating the beginning stages of you getting a new student.
Yep. And that call to action, that big button that we want them, that says very clearly what we want them to do. I was just talking with a group this morning about the importance of that and making sure it's visible, top of the page, above the fold, as we call it, and making it really clear. So there's no doubt about what you want the visitor to do next to connect. So I think another element that's important to think about is trust building. So in what ways can a website help build trust before a student even steps into the studio?
For sure. So your website builds trust before a student ever walks into the studio through three key elements. First, professional design creates instant credibility. Research shows that people form impressions about your trustworthiness within milliseconds of arriving on your site. A clean, organized site signals that you'll bring the same attention to detail to their lessons. Second, photos and videos of your teaching environment provide visual reassurance. Parents literally want to see where their child will be learning because they want to see that before committing to that first lesson with you. Most importantly, the language on your website needs to directly address the visitor's concerns and aspirations. When somebody reads your content and thinks, this teacher really understands what we're looking for, an immediate connection forms. They feel seen, heard, and understood before they've even met you, creating that foundation of trust that's so essential in music education.
And I know we're not talking about it today, but there's also ways that you can, once you've got that initial lead, so a lead being a new inquiry into your system, that you can actually automate a series of emails if you wanted to. You could send them to a YouTube video where you're on the video talking about the values and the mission for your studio and how excited you are about meeting this new student. I mean, there are lots of ways that this whole process can be automated. At the moment, we're just talking about the website, which is sort of step one, but just consider too other ways that you may be able to, once you have their contact details, be able to send them some preliminary information. I think that's really important. Now, I saw something about Frodo on your website. I was thinking, is this Lord of the Rings? What is this? Is it Frodo? It is Frodo, isn't it? Yeah. So
it is.
What's that? It's an acronym, I assume. What's that all about?
Correct. So as you guessed, Frodo is not about a hobbit and big feet and anything like that. But Frodo is actually a framework that helps music teachers understand the psychological journey that visitors go through in the first seconds when they're on their website. You're right. It is an acronym that stands for first reaction, orientation, desirability, and offers. First reaction is that immediate emotional response that visitors have within seconds. They're asking themselves subconsciously, is this site welcoming or confusing? Is this a professional site or does it feel amateur? Orientation answers the question, am I in the right place? Does this teacher work with students like me or my child? Desirability tackles the question, is this worth it? They're asking themselves, are these lessons worth my time, my energy, and my money? And O for offers, it addresses, what do I do next? Giving visitors a clear, simple path forward. What's going to make Frodo really powerful is that when a teacher aligns their website with these elements, they're going to dramatically increase the amount of interaction that people have with their site, which will allow more visitors to become students. It's about making it easy for parents to say, yes, this is exactly what we're looking for.
And that's the main difference between the old school vision of a website being a business card, an online business. I hate that phrase. I guess maybe having some information up online is better than nothing, but it's not just a business card. This is an interactive, it should be, if it's working, an interactive experience for people that are going there. And I like that your first reaction, the F and the R, is so critical, because I heard a stat that, people make a decision about your website, or they need to know what it's about in like a half second or something when they see it. That it should be that clear that this is about a music studio. This is the kind of, and the visually, this is the kind of studio that you're entering into. How important, just as an aside, how important is the visual side of things? Pictures of students having fun, being on stage if it's a rock school, being in formal attire if it's more a traditional school. How important is that visual aspect?
Sure. So if you imagine the pictures on a website, it's kind of like a window into your music studio. So just to touch on what you were talking about before with the first reaction, I was working with a music school, and they were teaching group lessons. And the first picture that loaded on their site, it was a picture of the pianos. It was empty pianos. And I told them, I said, the first reaction that a person's going to have when they come to your site is that you sell pianos, not that you give piano lessons, right? So sometimes as teachers, we're so deep into our own thing that we don't take a step back to take a look at it. And the first reactions are things that we do normally. When you see somebody walking down the street dressed a certain way, you have a first reaction. You are automatically thinking things about them. Whether it be right or wrong, positive or negative, it's that split first reaction. And the same thing happens to people when they come to your website. I'm pretty sure if anybody has searched restaurants online, you have seen a restaurant website that might not be it might not look this modern, or might not be up to snuff. And you form a reaction about how that food's cooked. You form a reaction about how the place looks just from the website, because the website is probably your first interaction with this business. Same thing with music teachers. Your website is the first reaction and first interaction that people have with you. So it's very important that you make sure that this first reaction is correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So for music teachers listening who feel their website maybe isn't really working for them, what are 3 actionable tips or considerations that they can implement right away to start seeing a difference?
For sure. So the first one would be transform your website content from speaking about yourself and have it speaking to the visitors. Most music teaching websites make the mistake of functioning as a resume or as an online business card that you said before. So they're going to list qualifications, their experience, and credentials. While these have their place before, like you mentioned, the About page, they won't convert visitors into students. Instead, you want to speak directly to your potential students and what they're looking for. So phrases like, your child will develop a love for music, or learn the songs you love with ease, create immediate connection. Remember, people visit your website looking for themselves in your content. They want to be seen, heard, and understood. Second, simplify your calls to action. I see way too many teachers with websites with multiple competing options. You'll have a contact form. They'll tell you to email them. They'll tell you to call them. They have text message. They have social media. And all of these links are vying for attention. This creates decision paralysis. So you want to choose a primary call to action that you want your visitors to take and make it visually stand out on every single page. Whether it's a book a trial lesson or schedule a consultation, use contrasting colors so that it appears in the logical points throughout your website and so people can see it clearly as they're scrolling down. You want to make the next step unmistakably clear. And third, use testimonials that just don't say, this person was a great teacher. You want to use ones that specifically address the concerns that might prevent somebody from reaching out. This kind of social proof can dramatically increase your conversion rate without changing anything else about your design.
That's a clever thought, actually. Not all testimonials are equal, we might say. You need to think about how they're worded and what they're saying, what they're speaking to, and make sure that's aligned with the goal of the website and your studio, I guess. Yeah, that's a really good reminder, Demitris. I was thinking as you're talking about Michigan Rock School. So I was interviewed by John Kazicki, who has a podcast called Rock School Proprietor. And I went to his website just when I was talking with this group about websites. And when you were mentioning speak to the student or the parent, I thought his headline is great. So his headline is, music lessons so cool, you'll be jealous of your own kid. Now, I've never seen that on a website before, but that made me stop and go, huh. And the image behind is a child on stage, obviously on stage because it's a microphone and lights and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And that says a lot about the kind of school that he's running as well. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of clever.
Correct. So if you go back to the Frodo framework, right? So that headline, music lessons so cool you'll be jealous of your own kid, that is going to kind of talk to the, am I in the right place? Okay, yes, I am, because we're talking about music lessons. And then that image of the kid on stage, it speaks to the orientation again. Am I in the right place? So those two things that John's doing is kind of highlighting the Frodo framework and showing that, yes, you are in the right place because we do music lessons. And it's also telling a story in a single line. It's saying that you're going to be jealous of them. They're going to be so good. You're going to wish that you had lessons too. And then the image of this kid looking amazing, shredding it on stage adds to that effect. So I think he did an absolutely amazing job with that.
There you go. Congratulations, John, if you're listening. Now, I think you mentioned when we were talking about putting this show together that you've got a special tool for teachers that you've created to share with our top music teachers.
Yes, I've created a special tool for top music teachers that they're going to get access to first. It's called Hero Section Henry. It's actually an AI
Hero Section Henry.
Correct, Hero Section Henry.
I like it.
So I love doing these like weird naming things. So
it's good.
Hero
Memorable.
Section Henry. It's an AI powered analyzer that is kind of focused on the most important part of any music teacher website. And that happens to be the hero section, hence the name Hero Section Henry, which is the first impression area that people see on your site before they start scrolling down. So Henry uses the Frodo framework that we kind of discussed to evaluate everything from visual appeal to call to action effectiveness. Using it is super simple. Just take a screenshot of your website's hero section, upload it, and you'll get personalized recommendations on what you need to do to improve this important section. Plus, you'll actually get to experience my one-of-a-kind welcome sequence. Tim, you were talking about welcome sequences before, and you can like send an email one right after the other. I actually created one. It's a one-of-a-kind welcome sequence, and I think it's going to be quite unlike anything that they've seen before. I don't want to spoil the fun here, but it does include a magical metronome and a little bit of adventure. It's something that I put a lot of work into, and I think that you'll find it both entertaining and valuable. So to get Hero Section Henry, just head to provideimpact.com/Henry. It's my way of giving back to the music teaching community, but it's something that can make a huge difference in your online presence.
That sounds, I'm going to jump on there and chuck my website into it. That's really, really cool. Thank you so much for sharing that with us first. You've heard it first on the Topcast. This is brand new technology from Demitris. I hope you go and explore it. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, as you've said, you've put together a welcome sequence. So a welcome sequence is a series of emails that anyone who is giving you their details will get automatically. And most companies do this. A lot of people who'll be listening to this show will have gone through any number of my welcome sequences, also known as funnels. And one of the best ways to learn how to do that in your own studio is to go and sign up for other people's studios and see what they do and model it and use it as a way to help you create that kind of same thing yourself. Now, we're not talking, as I said, about welcome sequences. I don't want to overwhelm people. Today, let's just focus on mobile responsive, conversion-focused websites. That's what we're talking about, okay? Now, as we wrapped up, you've made a great case for the importance of having a clear, highly tuned website. But for teachers who are ready to grow and want a website that reflects their expertise, I believe you've also got a solution to help them. I mentioned that earlier on. So tell us about your Impact Builder service for music teachers.
Absolutely. For teachers who are ready to grow and want their website to truly reflect their expertise, I'm inviting you to become a member of Impact Builder. It's a comprehensive website platform specifically for music teachers. Impact Builder isn't just another website builder. It's built to address the unique challenges that music teachers face online. Our student magnet blueprints are at the core of what makes Impact Builder unique. These are conversion-focused website templates designed specifically for music teachers. These aren't generic templates that we've sort of relabeled and thrown out there. They're strategically designed to turn website visitors into students. What makes these blueprints special is that they incorporate the psychological elements that we've discussed, from creating that important first impression to guiding visitors through a clear path to becoming a student, Teachers also love that each section on these blueprints include guided prompts that eliminate the guesswork of what to write and sort of where to write it. And the whole platform is super easy to use. As your studio grows, the platform grows with you, providing all the tools that you need to scale your online presence and continue to attract your ideal student year after year. If you want to see if Impact Builder can help you transform your teaching website, just head to provideimpact.com to learn more.
Yeah, and there's a great video at the top of the site featuring our very own Michael Gumley, who was our guitar pro here for quite some time. His website, mate, that is a killer. Melbourne Guitar Academy. I was actually demonstrating that the other day as a great example of a website, and I've only just put two and two together that you created that thing. That is so good, and it ticks all these boxes about that hero section. And I really like another element that you put in is a star review and really short comments. So not these big testimonial blocks, which can be useful as well, but right at the top, 5 stars, the most awesome music lessons, that kind of thing. So good, so good. So you got to go and check that out, provideimpact.com. We'll put links to that and also the Henry Analyzer in our show notes for today's episode, which will be at topmusic.co/episode 408. Demitris, before we go, is there anything else that you want teachers to know?
I want to speak directly to the teachers listening right now. If you've ever felt like you're working so hard but still feel invisible, if you ever wondered why other teachers with less experience might be getting more students than you, if you ever questioned whether parents and students truly see the value of what you offer, let me tell you something important. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you need to lower your prices. It's not because you need to work even harder. You spent years mastering your craft. You've poured your heart and soul into your students. And yet, in today's world, passion alone isn't always enough to be seen. Big corporate lesson factories with massive budgets are flooding the market with flashy ads, treating music education like a numbers game. But we both know this isn't just a business. Teaching music is an art form, a calling, and the relationships you build with students are what truly change lives. And that's why you deserve to be seen. Not just as another option, but as a dedicated, skilled professional that you are. Because when parents and students can't see you, they don't get to choose you, and they need you. So whatever's been holding you back, self-doubt, frustration, the feeling that you're constantly being overshadowed, know this. You're part of something bigger. You're standing for what real music education should be. This goes beyond just your studio. It's about keeping music education in the hands of teachers who love music, not companies that treat it like a product. Keep going, keep showing up. The right students are out there, and they need what you have to offer. Let's make sure they find you.
I can't add anything else to that. That was brilliant. Thank you so much, Demitris, for summing up our episode so well. Thank you for what you're doing to support music teachers, and I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Tim. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope your listeners have found some valuable takeaways today, and I'd love to continue the conversation with anyone who has questions or who wants to learn more.
Fantastic. Thanks again. Well, I do hope that you enjoyed today's exploration around websites and meeting Demitris, and hopefully you'll go and try his online tool that he's created just for us, released to us first, using his Frodo framework. If you would like any links from today's show around what he's up to and where to go, just head to the show notes, topmusic.co/episode 408, and you can click straight through to his website. That's the end of the show for this week. I do hope you've enjoyed it. And next week on the show, we have 2 repeat guests joining us at the same time. One of the guests joined us way back in episode, I think it was 14, which would have been 10 years ago. Can you believe it? And another one who created the first ever webinar and co-hosted that with me that I did also back probably in about 2016, I would say. So you'll get to meet both these guests. They're doing fantastic things, and we're talking all about productivity and particularly an app called Notion. You're going to find out all about that next week. I'm Tim Topham, and you've been listening to the Topcast. I'll speak to you again same time next week. Thanks so much for being here. How do you keep up to date with all the latest trends and research into music education? How do you connect with other teachers around the world and make sure your teaching stays fresh and relevant for students of all ages and stages, both now and into the future? I created our Top Music Pro membership to be the one-stop shop for music teaching resources, training, support, and community, and I'd love for you to come and join us inside. With over 40 comprehensive training courses, hundreds of teaching demonstrations and lesson plans, free monthly sheet music, discounts, and all the business and pedagogy support you could ever need, Top Music Pro is the community you've been looking for. If you're ready to level up your learning from the podcast and join thousands of other teachers in our global network, head over to topmusicpro.com today. If you enjoy this show and want to hear more of our work, be sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening today. For links and resources mentioned in this episode, visit us at topmusic.co/podcast or check out the show notes. I'm Tim Topham. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your week ahead, and I'll catch you next time.